I, 27, live with my 27 fiance, Annie, and recently my sister, Mia, came to live with us. Mia has never actually told me she was a lesbian, but I've always kind of knew she was. Anyways, my parents asked if Mia could move in with us because she can't see her friends since they are high risk. I agreed and Mia has been living with us. I've started to notice changes in her behavior around Annie. Mia has always been shy about her body and at most will wear knee-length shorts on a very hot day even with family. Now she's basically always in sports bras and booty shorts. It was odd, but I haven't lived with my parents in 6 years, so I don't know if she changed her home habits during the time I was gone. I just brushed it off as a self-esteem boost and was proud of her. Then she got especially close to Annie. I assumed it was just admiration, but then it got super weird. She was sticking even closer to Annie, and it wasn't like she was butting in on us when we were being romantic, but it was like she was trying to prevent romantic moments from happening by trying to direct Annie somewhere else. She would also leave the room or look sad when we kissed. I got the feeling she had a crush on Annie. I confronted her about her feelings and told her that it was fine if she had a crush, but she was taking it too far and she denied it. Now my sister knows I know she's a lesbian because a few years ago I sent her one of those "if ex-friend was ever more than a friend" texts. She denied that they were more than friends. I told her that I'll always be here to support her and moved on. Things would stop for a while then pick up, we would have this conversation, then the cycle would repeat. Annie figured out that Mia probably had a crush on her and was uncomfortable by the entire situation. A few weeks ago Annie kind of sisters owned Mia and things just escalated. She openly flirted with Annie to the point where Annie didn't even want to be at home. We couldn't do anything romantic at home because she might see it start openly bawling in her room. Mia was very cold to me and always snapping at me for small reasons. I had enough when she made breakfast for Annie and her using the food I specifically bought for myself, and Annie walked out crying. I pulled her aside and told her that she needs to stop right now or I will kick her out. She acted like she didn't know what I was talking about again, so now I'm definitely kicking her out. The only problem is my parents. I can just kick out my little sister and not tell them why. If I tell the truth my sister will be outed, but if I tell a half-truth like she made my fiancé uncomfortable, they'll hate my fiancé because I can't actually explain what my sister did to make her uncomfortable without outing her. My sister deserves a chance to come out, and this isn't like I accidentally outed her either. Is getting herself outed a consequence of her actions or would I be the idiot? If you out your sister, you are the idiot. If you don't kick your sister out, you are the idiot. You're not the idiot if you throw your sister out, thereby making your home a safe place again for your fiancé, and don't out your sister to your parents. I suggest that you kick out your sister, and if your parents ask why, tell them that she repeatedly overstepped boundaries and you're done with her disrespect and melodrama. You don't have to give details. You're not a child and you can set boundaries with your parents too. You're the idiot. It's very simple. Sister wasn't following my rules, and after repeated warnings she continued to ignore my requests, so she can't stay here. If they ask for details you can say things that are true like disrespecting our personal space, using food that was put aside for a specific reason, making inappropriate comments, refusing to listen when I tried to speak to her. You don't need to explain that the rules and requests that she wasn't following were all related to her having a crush on your partner. If you out her, you are the idiot. Unfortunately you're the idiot if you outed your little sister, but you definitely need to kick her out because she's out of her mind. Tell your parents you are uncomfortable with her living in your home, eating your food without asking, bothering you, crying over nothing, and not listening to you when you tell her you need space. Stay firm and let your family call you an idiot. Keep your fiancé out of it. Update. I got a lot of you would not be the idiot for kicking my sister out, but you would be the idiot for outing my sister. I accepted it at that point and was going to have a talk with my parents without outing my sister and being especially vague. Then to my surprise there was a string of not the idiot for both, the reason being my sister's behavior was a crime and needs to be addressed immediately. I decided to just talk with Annie who was the victim and asked her what she wanted to do. With the exception that there was no debating my sister getting the heck out. She said she wanted to tell my parents what happened because they deserved to know. I couldn't agree more, not because like some of you suggested I wanted to out my sister for revenge, but because I think part of the blame is on them. Growing up I was always the smart kid and she was always the social kid. My parents put my education over her events. She couldn't invite her friends over because I was studying. If she was invited to a friend's birthday and I had tutoring around the same time, she would either have to walk to her friend's house, be late or not even go at all. At some point I realized how this was affecting her and just let her do whatever she wanted. When I needed it to be quiet so I could study, they would just ship me off to my uncle's house. I didn't mind. My parents would let her do what she wanted, but they still gave me more attention. So yes, like some of you suggested, my sister definitely needs therapy. So we talked to my parents. After we kicked her out, we told them what Mia did, and I think my dad believed us, but my mom didn't. This part is now all just being relayed from my parents. They went to my sister, and to my surprise she came clean to everything. She admitted what she did was wrong, but she just couldn't stop herself, and she was just so angry at me for getting all the attention all the time. I had all the good things, she didn't. Well, it ended up in a shouting match, and they kicked her out. They kicked her out of their house, but they moved her into my aunt's. They gave her an ultimatum, either go to therapy or receive no financial support from them. With a condition that if she doesn't start therapy within the next 5 years, they will not be paying for her sessions. I think they should pay either way, but it's their money, so not my place to say anything. I haven't heard from my sister. She texted Annie to tell her she's sorry and ask her to meet up, but she hasn't reached out to me. I probably wouldn't have responded if she did though. I'll also be looking into getting therapy, even if I'm angry at my sister and never want to see her again. I also feel like I lost her. Yes, Mia was outed in the end, but I think that considering everything, this is the best outcome for her too. Thank you for all the responses. Me, 25, and my fiance, 28, have been together 6 years and have a little boy who is 2. I am an only child, and my fiance has 4 sisters. For context, I've never had a strong relationship with any of them, not through lack of trying. They are extremely close and even bought houses next to one another. They kind of have a clique and I'm tolerated, I guess, but not really accepted. They have often vocalized indirectly how they prefer fiance's ex, who cheated on him, which hurts. I've just kind of accepted how life is and try my best to build bridges where I can. The problem starts here. For my bachelorette party, we decided to book a weekend away to a hotel in a nearby country. I was super excited as I have never had a girls' trip. It works out to around $200 each for 3 nights, including flights. We booked it a year and a half in advance to give everyone a chance to save. So far there have been no problems with anyone, except for sister-in-laws. They made comments on the hotel, location, etc. despite them being best in the area. Myself and my OH are working class and have to save for the wedding. This is our only luxury. His sisters on the other hand are all well off, married into money, and have multiple trips a year, both with and without their kids. We agreed and the place was booked. Now, 2 months before the trip, one sister-in-law is insisting on bringing her child, the same age as our son. I refused and have been called a huge idiot for it by all of his sisters. They say she has anxiety over leaving him with her husband who has had him, while she has had week-long trips before with her friends, no problem. She has never been diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. I have had anxiety for years and have recently stopped counseling, so I understand what it can be like, but I suspect it's an excuse. She is very self-centered and always seeks the limelight, announcing her pregnancy at her friend's baby shower, etc., and I've reached the end of my tether. Our hotel is adults only. We have excursions booked where children aren't permitted, have bar crawls planned, etc., and an adults-only spa day. There is absolutely no place for a child, let alone for a 2-year-old boy. She expects us to change the hotel last minute to accommodate him. He is my nephew and I love him, but this is my one thing that I want to be about me. I've never had a birthday party, engagement party, baby shower, etc. I just want this one trip to be about me, as selfish as I sound. I'm getting rude texts and phone calls from everyone telling me it's wrong to exclude him. Even my own son isn't coming. My fiance has even offered nephew and brother-in-law to stay at our place with them for the weekend too, which she has refused. Am I the idiot for not wanting him there? I am on the verge of just canceling the whole thing, and all I have done the last few days is cry. It's getting to the point I don't want to go at all, because I'm scared they're going to make it hell for me either way. Not the idiot. It's not a family trip, it's an adult trip. How does your fiancé feel about this situation? In my opinion, since it's his family, he should be stepping in somewhat to mediate. If their attitudes don't get fixed in soon, I'd make it clear that they are welcome to stay home, not uninvite them, but just nicely let them know it's not about them. Good luck. This sounds super frustrating. Not the idiot. Hold your ground. It's your weekend. She might be looking for a way out, so don't be surprised if she bails. Grey rock this, simply say, we have events planned that aren't appropriate to bring a 2-year-old to. I understand it will be difficult for you to leave nephew during this trip. I would really like you to be there to get to know you better and celebrate, but I understand if you are no longer comfortable joining without nephew. Children simply aren't allowed. She can join, or she cannot. Leave the choice up to her and put your foot down, but you're in no way in the wrong here. She is the idiot. She sounds like a terrible parent because she wants to bring her child to a bachelorette party trip. That is horribly inappropriate. Your husband needs to talk to her and tell her it's unacceptable. And either she makes other plans for her kid or she doesn't come. End of story. Seriously, your fiancé needs to defend you. I know some people are non-confrontational, but she is doing it specifically for her own selfish reasons and to cause drama. I moved into a detached townhouse a few months ago. It's a rental. I'm leasing it for a year with the option to extend that with a second year or possibly buy the house. My driveway is right next to the neighbors, it's big enough to fit 2 regular-sized cars, and halfway down my driveway, there's a path leading around my house. On side of the path is my house, on the other side's about 3 meters of yard, that's mine. Ever since I moved in, I've been having issues with the neighbors using my driveway for parking, turning their cars, storing their other stuff, playing, etc. Asking them to stop using it and keep their items on their own property has not worked, so I placed a few large plants, installed a camera and a no trespassing sign, and that helped a bit. At least the cars are gone. The last few weeks with the stay-home advice, I've been working from home, but the neighbors' kids are making that really hard. They're about 5 and 7, boys, and they keep ringing my doorbell multiple times a day to ask if they can play with my dog, if I want to play with them, or anything else they can think of. I asked them to stop it so I can work, which of course didn't work, so I asked their parents and was told boys will be boys and they weren't going to do anything about it. To keep my sanity intact, I removed the battery from the doorbell, but now they keep running around in my front yard, on the path around the house, banging on my windows, banging on my doors, and actually tried to open the gate to my backyard this morning as they heard me in there. I once again asked them to stop, told them I will not be allowing them to play with the dog anymore at all if they keep this up, and they left, sending over their dad. I told him to keep the boys away from my property and door, if not, I'll be planting some prickly bushes to teach them to stay away from other people's property and shut the door in his face. Would I be the idiot if I actually did that? I'd love to place a fence or something, but as it may be a short-term rental, I have to be able to return everything in its original state for now. Not the idiot. You know what those parents and those bushes have in common? They both have little pricks. Okay, that was my little joke, not a really good one, but whatever. Seriously, those parents seriously need to keep their kids under control. They shouldn't be running around on your property bothering you and banging on the windows and crap. The parents are definitely at fault for this. You definitely wouldn't be the idiot for this, it's your property. Rose bushes work great. A lady I used to work with was always getting her flower beds trampled and the parents didn't care, then came the rose bush wall. Now her flowers look great. Also, get a lock for your gate. Locks can be cheap and easy to use, and that way you don't need to worry that your dog is in the backyard and they might let home out. Side note, there are also shrubs with good spikes on them that grow quickly if you wanted a more leafy look. Not the idiot. With a security camera you've got plenty of footage over multiple days, just call the cops. Children are trespassing on private property, harassing you, and it's happening during a pandemic when people need to stay away from each other. Keep calling the cops, get the incident reports, and after a few times ask your landlord for assistance as you're being harassed. Might lose him a remnant, and also future remnants who don't want to deal with this. I know how it sounds. My fiancé, 29, is an amazing guy, sweet, funny, attractive, and hard-working. I, 29, was impressed with him from the moment I met him, and we've been together 6 years. We are devoted to each other and working toward building our shared life. We each put a percentage of our earnings into two funds, one for our wedding, which is a year away, and another for a down payment on a home. We each pay the same percentage, but I pay a much larger amount because I went into a higher income field. We've budgeted it out pretty well. At this rate, we'll have enough to buy a home around the same time as our wedding, as planned. As to the wedding, we both wanted a small one, and my fiancé and I decided to have a destination wedding. We are paying for the entire wedding ourselves. My family's pretty poor, so I've also been saving a portion of my remaining paycheck to be able to pay for all of them to come to the wedding for free. I'm also paying for one of my bridesmaids who went into teaching and doesn't make much. My fiancé wouldn't really have the disposable cash to do that, but his family can afford to pay, somewhat wealthy, and is happy for the vacation. The problem arose last week. My fiancé's best friend Tom, 30, who he asked to be his best man, got in an accident. It was likely entirely his fault as he was riding his motorcycle drunk. He suffered significant injuries, is going to have some major medical bills, and admitted to my fiancé he doesn't think he can afford to come. My fiancé wants to pay for him several $1,000s and lend him money to help cover his medical bills. But, especially with everything going on, my fiancé does not have and is unlikely to be able to get the money to do either. I could afford to do both, but I don't want to. Truthfully, I can't stand this friend. He often rides or drives drunk, does not have a job, makes snarky comments about my fiancé that he insists are just jokes, but that I know actually affect my fiancé, and lives in his parents' basement while ignoring their well-being. I was willing to have him up there as best man because my fiancé considers him a brother and it's his choice. I wasn't happy about it, but I wasn't about to throw a tantrum about it. But with everything going on, my fiancé has suggested taking a huge chunk of our savings for a house to help, and I said no. We got in a huge fight and he called me selfish and cruel, at which point I lost it, told him his loser friend did this to himself, and that there was no way in hell I'd pay anything for his sorry butt. I ended by saying, if he can't afford to come, he can't be your best man. He hasn't spoken to me since last night and slept in the couch. Well, I still think I'm on solid footing. I wonder if I went too far. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You need to sit your fiancé down and tell him point blank that he is asking his fiancée to sacrifice her values and risk the down payment for your future house for a man who frequently drives drunk and is currently in a situation of his own making. Personally, I wouldn't be able to remain friends with someone who drives drunk. Putting your own life in danger, I don't really care, but risking other people's lives. That makes you among the lowest of the low in my mind. Your fiancé needs a serious reevaluation of his morals. You're the idiot. Think I'm bucking the trend with this opinion, and whilst I understand your stance, and if your future husband wanted to help his friend financially for virtually any other reason than attend your wedding and be his best man, I'd be completely on your side. This guy is your fiancé's best friend, yes he needs to grow up, and yes he's in hospital with mounting medical bills because he was an idiot and deserves no sympathy. But your fiancé is not asking you to use your house deposit savings to cover medical bills or pay for mate's frivolous lifestyle. I'm sorry but I have exactly zero sympathy for people like that when I have friends who have been affected by drunk drivers. I actually know quite a few people who have friendships with a similar dynamic as your husband and Tom. I'm not saying it's a lost cause, but I think your husband needs to have a wake-up call if he thinks he can help his friend by simply giving him money. Tom is a screw-up, is clearly an addict if he regularly drives drunk and has no direction in life. The only person who can help Tom is himself and a therapist.